Shoot it again, Jack.
All right, gonna try this again. We just had done a 10-minute interview here. That was really good stuff, and we just lost it. I am back here with the Harloff Podcast, and I would like to thank you guys for sticking through and waiting. I know that you have been waiting for the. It's actually pretty humbling that everybody's been asking more. When's the Harloff Podcast coming back? When are you going to talk to some more schmoes and get the insight on these people's personalities? Well, we're back, and this particular episode is pretty awesome because, look, I've had on Mark Riley and John Campia, Ashley Mover, Clark Wolf, Miri Jetikin. None, and I love all those people. I love all of them. None of them have ever had a controversial debut on the Schmoes No Show like my following guest. You know him better as Finstock. I know him as Tom Dagnino. I've known Tom Dagnino for a very long time here, coming up on like 14 years, which is crazy even hearing myself say it. But he's here. What's going on?
I'm here, Hickory Dickory Doc.
No, not today.
No, not today.
Not today. It's just hello and
yes.
Thank you and all that type of stuff.
Absolutely.
We're going to get to
Konnichiwa.
know... Konnichiwa, sure. We're going to get to know a little bit more about you today. How do you like this? You like this?
Well, like the hot sauce? The fiery hot sauce?
Fiery one hot sauce. See, this is the...
This guy's got homeboy fiery Chipotle hot sauce on here. I
you love that.
If you paid me.
Yes, you would. It's
no offense to the guys who bought it for you.
It's delicious stuff. You should try it.
I know you didn't pay for it.
I did. Well, how would you know that?
You got it for free.
I get a lot of
sample. That's a sample.
I get a lot of things for free.
Well, so do I.
Yeah, you're the king of getting stuff for free, and we're going to talk about all of that. Let's talk about you in general with just kind of who the hell you are.
I'm just a humble guy, man. I'm
not really. You
not
say
really.
that. What does it
well,
mean?
I've already said it. I'm the East Coast legend living a West Coast dream.
Well, that part is true. And I'm sure that there's a lot of stories about you from back home, but let's talk about back home.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
You're from the Bronx.
Bronx, New York, yeah.
All right.
Not too far away from you, where you grew up.
In Queens.
We probably ran into each other somewhere at a game or something like that.
The funny thing is, we probably did. You never know because it's smaller than you think.
I probably said, "Look at that idiot over there."
Probably too.
You probably like, "Look at that idiot."
I had a mullet at the time.
You don't want to. I had Buster Brown hair.
Did you steal things when you were younger?
You know, I've never stole anything in my whole entire life.
Right.
Except for a couple of women's hearts, but
right. But no,
that's what happens.
But you're a hustler.
Yes, absolutely.
You definitely hustle things.
No, my mom instilled a couple of things in us.
Right.
Not much.
What's that?
Because she didn't have a lot of time because she worked nights and we didn't really see her that much, me and my two sisters.
Right.
And my brother left the house at 13, and he was a gang member for like a weird tattoo gang or something.
Tattoo gang?
Yeah, like you couldn't go past this guy's house.
Your brother's
near
house?
The park. No, this guy is like this gang house.
Okay.
Because if they didn't know you, that you would get shot with BB guns. Yeah, in the Bronx. Yeah.
Okay.
So she would tell us, "Listen, I don't have money to buy you things, but if you somehow come home with it,
whatever,
in like in a decent way, I'm not going to ask where you got it."
Right. So it was more. Okay. So where was your mom from?
She was born and bred in the Bronx.
Born in the Bronx. All right.
Yeah.
And did you get along with your mom?
Yeah, we got along. Yeah, no, we got along. I mean,
your mom's no longer alive.
No, she's not.
Okay.
She's been dead like 20 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How did she die?
Cancer.
Okay.
Ovarian cancer.
I'm sorry.
Then it just riddled her whole body, and then she turned into like a almost alien looking. It was scary.
So how do you? So that's the thing. I don't really talk to you about this type of stuff. So how does that? Because you're not an overly emotional guy. I mean, you are and you aren't.
True.
You are in a way that you can get worked up, but you don't burst out into fits. You don't like I can certainly go off on a rant. Mark Riley can punch and kick.
Oh yeah.
You don't necessarily do those things.
No.
But how old were you when your mom passed?
20. Not even 20, like 19 or something
19.
Like that. Yeah.
How does a 19-year-old Tom Dagnino though go through that? How did you?
I prepared myself for it because it was like it was a 2-year thing.
Okay.
If she gets hit by a car and dies, that's a different story.
Right.
But when you watch somebody that birthed you deteriorate like that,
sure.
You just become numb to it.
Numb to it. Really?
Yeah, almost. Yeah. And when she goes, you're like, I knew that was coming.
You're preparing yourself because it was coming for so long, right?
Absolutely.
How about the rest of your sisters and your brother? How did they deal?
My brother was in jail at the time.
Really? And what did he go to jail for?
He says he didn't do this, but apparently he got really drunk because he was like a raging alcoholic. I mean, I'm talking this guy drinks like a fifth of vodka when he wakes up.
You guys don't get along. Don't really talk much.
I see him once a year at functions.
Okay.
But he's sedated now, so he basically comes to the place, drives 2 hours, comes to my sister's house, goes to sleep on the couch, wakes up, eats a little bit, goes to sleep, and then it's like, we got to go.
Right. All right. Well, what did he do? Or says he didn't do? That you think he did do?
He got into a fight with another cop.
Okay.
Him and another cop were playing pool.
But he's not a cop.
No, but he was.
Okay. He was a cop.
He was a corrections officer at Rikers Island, yeah.
Okay. Which is, for those people who don't know, Rikers Island is like a prison in New York.
It was depicted in The Night of as well.
Right.
It's a really bad, it's a hardcore jail. It's hard.
He was a correctional officer. He got into a fight with another cop.
Yes, in this bar.
Okay.
While him and that cop were playing pool with two Spanish guys. Yeah, it was called Doyle's Pub.
Okay.
So it's not that anymore. It's like now it's like a biker
But at the
thing.
time it was Doyle's.
It was
so he
Doyle's
gets into
Pub.
a fight
Great
at Doyle's
spot.
Pub
Yes.
with another cop. Irish cop?
Italian guy.
Italian, okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Who was actually married to my cousin.
Okay.
They were friends.
Okay.
So, apparently these Spanish guys beat them in pool, and didn't go over well. And somehow,
I'm mad that they lost.
Yes.
Okay.
Somehow
They didn't fight the Spanish guys.
They ran after them.
They ran after the Spanish
Yes.
guys. Okay.
They couldn't get them to him on feet because the Spanish guys jumped into a car. My brother.
Just because they lost the pool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus they were
They
drunk.
didn't get hustled or anything.
No.
Okay.
Just because they lost.
Right. Sore losers.
Brother sees an open city bus, jumps in the bus, and steals the city bus.
Steals the bus.
Steals the bus.
48 hours.
Yes.
Okay.
With the cop, the cop that he was with him.
With him, and they thought this was a good move at the time.
Thought it was a good move.
Okay.
And what happened was, somebody
Yes.
shot at the car from the bus.
Shot at the Spanish guy's car.
Correct.
Okay, and we're thinking it was your brother.
My brother said that it was the cop.
Right.
The cop said
Yes,
it was my brother.
And what do you think happened?
You know, it's tough. He swears he didn't do it.
Right. But he was drunk when he said he didn't do it, right?
Yeah,
Most
obliterated.
likely. So he could have done it and not even realize he did it.
Any way you slice it, my brother did at the time.
Right. How many years?
I did like 3 years for it.
Stealing the bus and shooting at the car.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
And still says he didn't do it even
Still
after.
says he didn't do it and doesn't talk to that guy or my cousin since. And this has been 20 years.
And did that happen in the Bronx?
Yes,
All
right
right,
in the
that
Bronx.
happened. And you were still living in the Bronx at the time.
Yes, I
All right,
was.
so let's talk about then. You went from the Bronx.
No, I was in Jersey, but I went
but
back to the Bronx a lot.
You
Yes.
were in the Bronx and you moved to New Jersey when you were 13.
Yes.
All right, so let's talk about that. How did you move from the Bronx to Jersey?
Well, we were living in a one-bedroom apartment. Me,
Okay.
my two sisters,
Okay.
my grandmother, and my stepdad.
Wow. And how many
They're
bedrooms?
one bedroom.
One bedroom.
Yeah. It was rough.
Wow.
So my uncle.
So it was a hostel, basically.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. There was. We had our room. Me and my two sisters.
And how long was that? How many years was that?
Probably like 5 years.
You lived 5. So where did you live? So that was when you were. So from you were around 1 to 8.
Yeah.
Where were you from 1 to 8?
Lived in my grandmother's house.
Your grandmother's house. And so
Yeah.
why did you guys move out? Did she lose the house?
Yes.
Okay.
My grandfather died.
And then lost the house.
He had a liver transplant.
Oh wow.
And the crazy thing about it is he contracted AIDS
How did that happen?
through a liver transplant in
liver
like
transplant.
1982.
And they didn't even know what that.
They didn't know what it was at that point.
Back then.
He went from a big, burly 300-pound man to like a 160-pound dude in
Wow.
like overnight. It was a disaster.
So you've had a lot of tragedy in your life,
Oh, absolutely.
and so like there was.
I think it makes me a better person, though.
But people don't realize that about you because you don't. Some people you walk around and just say hello. You knew this tragedy in their life.
Yeah, of course.
Like you don't carry that.
Oh, you say hi to people, and some people
You just
cry.
know. Right,
Yeah, of
right.
course.
And that person can be the happiest person in the world. Mm-hmm. But with you, there's obviously a lot there. So and that's a lot for an 8-year-old to go through.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
you go through that, and you go and from 1 to 8, where's your real dad at this point?
He is my real dad never worked a day in his life.
Okay. Did you meet have you seen or talked to your real dad at all?
He died last
When?
year.
Your dad died last year.
Yeah, he rolled off a bed, hit his head on a radiator, and bled out to death.
And you don't seem too shook up about that.
No, my sister called me up. She's like, "Johnny's dead." I'm like, "Who's Johnny?" She's like, "Dad." I'm like, "Oh man, yeah." I was like, I knew it was coming.
Right. So I mean, because it was like eventually you knew you were going to get that call. It just happened to be 15 years later.
Right. Apparently, he's been on some kidney drugs and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I heard from my brother, right?
That he was on the kidney drug.
These kidney drugs. But apparently, the drugs weren't filtering through his kidneys properly.
Okay. So it was messing him up a bit?
So it messed up
mentally?
his brain.
Okay.
So he went into the hospital.
And how long ago was he taking those pills for?
Oh, a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a disaster. He was a former junkie and all these other things.
All right, so wait, let's start with that then.
Well, let me finish this, though.
Yeah.
So my brother calls me up. He's like, hey, Daddy might be on his way out. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Right.
Haven't seen the dude in like 20-something years.
You didn't even talk to him in 20
I
years.
saw him at my mom's funeral. That was the last time I saw
That was
him. Yeah, in person.
Okay.
I get like word from my cousins who still live around
What was
there.
that conversation like at your mom's funeral?
It was just like, hey, you know, this and that. And I'm
was
like,
it.
yeah, pretty much.
Was he
We're going to
pissed?
keep in touch
Was
from here on out.
He sounds like William H. Macy from Shameless.
He wasn't that much of a drunk towards the end. He was just a real shyster. Like,
Yeah.
he's
Didn't trust him.
His claim to fame
Yeah.
was that in a bathroom in the beach where he used to hang out with his buddies, because he went to the beach every day and
Yeah,
picked up
Warren
hot
Beatty.
chicks. And no, they used to call him Dr. Dagnino. He was amazing. This
Okay.
guy, he cut a tumor out of his buddy's belly with a broken beer bottle and like cured the guy. I'm not kidding.
That's what he says.
It's what he says.
And he did it on the bus when he shot at a cop or a car.
No, that was my brother.
I don't know.
Yeah. So he went to the getting
I have to say
getting
though,
back to where he's at.
I will hold that thought though, because the thing is, I know that obviously you hardly ever do you don't really do drugs.
No, I don't.
You're known to have a drink here and there.
I'm known to have a drink
which
here
is,
and then.
which
I
is all right.
smoke weed every once in a while.
And
if a menage a trois opens up, I may
then
do
you're there.
some other stuff. Yeah.
But you certainly wouldn't shy away from saying that you yourself might be considered a shyster in times.
I am a little.
You're a
I consider myself a little less mystery, a little less history, and a lot more mystery.
Right. So do you think
AKA
that,
a shyster? Yes.
Yeah,
of course.
shyster. Do you think some of that comes from your pops?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Well, my mom was a shyster. She was
But-
on welfare, Section 8. Used to cry to blues. I got everything free. I mean,
Right.
but I didn't want the small stuff free. I never want people to feel sorry for me free.
Right. But your dad did.
Yeah, well, yeah, they all did. My
Jeez.
dad was on disability for about 40 years. Never worked a day in his life.
Okay.
Ever.
So it was shameless.
So basically, what we had to do, he lived upstairs from us because we used to own the building in the Bronx.
Right.
And my dad and his twin brother, after their father died,
Okay.
turned the whole building into a prostitution den.
Jesus.
Yeah, no kidding. The city took the
How old were you the first time you got laid?
me?
Yeah. Were you one of these guys like
16?
9 years old?
No,
Okay.
16. No,
Okay.
no,
I could see
16.
you being one of those guys.
Yeah, I think it
like,
might have almost been 17.
Okay, that's all right.
I didn't come into mine for a while.
Okay.
I was just.
So it wasn't like you
I
were.
was so wrapped up
the
in what I was doing.
prostitution ring wasn't running around and like, hey, throw Tommy a bone here, sit in his face or something.
No. This was before I was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just heard stories.
Right, exactly.
70s type stuff.
Yeah, 70s,
Oh, wow.
early 70s.
Wow.
And
Makes
my
sense.
brother, my dad and his brother were just
Running
complete lunatics.
Right.
The city they were drugs, everything. They ran.
So wait, so
there was
the-
transsexual bars going on. It was nuts, crazy town.
All right, there's so much that I want to talk to you about with this here because don't lose that spot with your dad because I want
Right.
to get back there. But do you know how your mom and your dad met? Like the origin of Finstock?
Yeah, it was. He was a bad boy. He was
apparently.
he was a drug dealer. He used to drive 57 Chevys. He was a greaser type character. My mom fell for his buddy named Bobby Gaglio, who was nicknamed the Blade.
Okay.
Because he used
the
to pull
Blade?
switchblades and rob people at methadone clinics.
Okay.
I'm like, really good, Ma. Going
Right.
for this type of person. But obviously, I'm here, so that's what it is. But she dated him first.
Okay.
He went somewhere like a camp or something like that for
Okay.
like bad people, and then my dad
Kind of got in there.
jumped in. Yeah.
Okay.
Because my dad was like the guy who had money around town.
Right. Was
He
your
was
mom
like
a
the drug
looker?
dealer in the park. Yeah, my mom's a beautiful woman.
Your mom was a
Yeah,
looker?
she was a beautiful woman.
Because your mom because we're gonna let's talk about your dad.
I mean,
a
my
little bit
sister's
more.
a beautiful woman. Look at me,
Yeah.
whatever.
We'll talk about your mom in a second too because I want to see about how the transition came from going from Brooklyn to
Mm-hmm.
Jersey. But you so you're talking bring it back to your pops for a little bit. So,
Oh yeah. So my brother calls me to the hospital. He's like, "Come to the hospital. It might be Daddy's last day."
Right.
I'm like, "Whatever, dude. I don't care." He's like, "He brought you to the earth." I'm like, "Yeah. Well, fucking the only thing he gave me was my wit and my genitals. That's
Right.
it." So my dad was so out of touch with me. He bought me a right-handed glove, and I'm like, "Dad, I'm left-handed." He's like, "Just get used to it." That's the kind
Did
of
he
guy.
really
Yeah,
say
that's the
that?
kind of guy he was, and I still have the glove at my house.
Why did you keep it?
Just because this is what that's what I like
remind
kind
you?
of remembered of what kind of scumbag and what, just how out of touch with my life he was.
Yeah.
He saw my sister like a couple of years ago, just a random chance in the Bronx. Didn't even know it was her.
Right.
And then he's like, "How's high school?" And she's like, "Dad, I'm 31."
Yeah.
The guy was out of his mind.
Regular
Yeah.
medicine. But
Yeah, so-
but that glove though, do you Yeah, you keep it to remind you, but there's something deeper with that. Why you have that glove? There's got to be.
Yeah, I would never throw it away.
Never.
Ever.
Is it also?
It's a Greg Nettles signed glove too,
Right.
but
Is
not
it also because it is
insignia.
something that he did buy for you.
Well, that too, but another thing was like when my mom was sick, right? It was like my 18th birthday or something like that, and I haven't seen him in a while. And he used to date this girl with like Tourette's syndrome.
Okay.
And she was a lunatic, and it was bad Tourette's too, because it was like she'd curse and say racial things. That's the Tourette's,
Right.
And spit.
Kind of
as
like
well.
you on the air.
Well, I don't say really racial things.
No,
this is
Finstock does.
hardcore racial. Okay. So I was like, Jesus, and we'd go to movie
bad
theaters and really bad stuff.
Okay, like almost getting to fights type stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, bad. She lived in Mount Vernon, so anybody who lives in the Bronx knows exactly what she was talking about.
Okay.
Bad news. So she mysteriously died.
Okay.
I don't know. We talked about it. I was like, I wouldn't put anything past my dad here.
Really?
Yeah, she died over like real suspicious circumstances. So he back to the hospital thing. My brother's like, come in here. I'm like, nah. So my sister was like, you know what? I really want to go. She goes. He's talking about that he was just in Vietnam. He just got off a plane. They threw him off the plane because he got bit by a dog. He called my mom. He called my sister my mom. Like, this dude was out of it. Right?
And how old was he when he passed?
He was 70.
When he passed. Okay.
Yeah. So, he hit it. I think he was murdered by his twin brother, but call me
Really?
crazy. Yeah.
But how? You said me.
So here's what happened.
Like poison or something?
My cousin, here's another thing. My cousin, right? He's working at this bus station in the Bronx. Walks past this scaffolding, boom, gets hit in the head with a pipe.
Okay.
Knocked out.
Okay.
Goes to the hospital. He has amnesia and all kinds of stuff. He's in there for like 5 days.
Right.
Finally comes out, giant scar on his head. He's going to probably sue and get a lot of money if he's smart. As he's walking past to get checked out, he sees the name Jaye Dagnino on the hospital room thing, right next to his.
Right.
Because they live right close to each other. But he hasn't seen him in 10 years either. So he works for my brother's sister who runs the bus company down in the Bronx. Right?
They still let you guys do buses after all that happened?
The school bus. Yeah, this is school bus stuff.
All right.
Short buses.
Right.
So next thing you know, he tells my my sister-in-law, hey, is dad in the hospital? And he's like, I don't think so. So they call up. My brother calls up the hospital, and he's like, oh, yeah, he's here. Yeah, his wife and his sister and his daughter are here. And my brother's like, that's impossible. He has no wife, and his daughters will never come there. So they had security tape. It was my uncle's, his brother, wife, and the daughter trying to steal his car and his money because they thought it was the last time they thought he was going to die. So it was super conspiracy. My brother's like, keep them over there, and they bolted out. No one ever seen him since. So they go there. My sister goes there. The dad has no idea who my sister is. Not one clue. Thought it was my mom. The crazy town. He's like, Dad, we're going to drive down to 57 Chevy and we're going to get Grandpa. He was out of his mind.
Right.
So 2 weeks later.
You were there for this or not?
No, I wouldn't go. I was out here.
Oh, you did? Okay,
yeah.
You didn't go.
Yeah, I was out here. So
you refused to go. So you were not home when your dad passed?
No.
Oh, you refused?
Yes, okay. I refused to go. I was like, fuck that.
Okay. Did it bother you, though, that you didn't go?
No.
No.
Dude, he died.
Yeah.
Was buried. He died, was autopsied and cremated in the same day.
Okay.
Done in a box.
That was it.
That day. No.
Didn't have anybody really there.
No, he had no friends because he burned every bridge he had in his whole entire life.
Did any one of your siblings, did it hit any of them hard?
No.
No.
They didn't care.
No.
From what he did. He abandoned 4 kids,
It's a bit sad, though.
It's pretty sad. It's sad.
It's sad in the fact that,
there's a story there.
I think that it's good for you that you're able to say, you built a bit of a wall around yourself because you were able to do that over the course of your life, obviously. But for him,
absolutely.
It's a sad thing that the fact that the man was 7 years old, had 4 children, right?
Oh, yeah.
4 kids.
Mm-hmm. That we know of.
And a brother and others who were trying to steal from him, possibly murder him.
Yes, correct.
And then you've got his kids who don't want to see him at all. So, it's not a great existence, and it's good. I should say a lot about you to a lot of people who may not, because I certainly didn't know a lot of this stuff, and I think about you as a lot of people don't really come back from that type of childhood.
Oh, yeah, you can become a full-blown alcoholic, drug addict, and you could be the worst person in the world. Right. Like I said, my lineage, I should be a deli owner in Brooklyn at the highest level of what I am.
But you are a bit of a womanizer. Yes?
Well,
You were.
I was, yes.
You were. Now you're in a committed relationship.
I was just giving women what they were looking for. I've never pressed myself on women.
That's true?
I never pressed myself on them.
No. That's not woman. No. There's different definitions. I'm not saying that you were a rapist.
No.
I'm saying a womanizer.
Yeah, I learned that from my uncle.
Look, that's what I'm saying. So a womanizer is someone who just, whether or not it's just about the sex and it's just about the needs, or it's just about satisfying yourself to the needs that you want, not really thinking about the woman.
I wouldn't call myself a womanizer. I'd call myself a person searching for material.
Womanizer.
Yeah, but I use that to further my material.
Well, I think
not saying I'm using them, because I've had a great time with girls. You could ask any single girl I've dated.
It's still not,
they would be like, he's a great guy. It just didn't work out.
You can have that, right, and you can certainly have fun times with a womanizer. You can certainly do that.
Absolutely.
Now, you're in a committed relationship now. You're doing well for yourself.
Yeah, I feel good.
Yeah, but the reason why I bring that up is, do you think because of, and not only because of, like you said, your uncle, but would you say even your mom? Because your mom had, it's like you said, was dating the one guy, and then went to your dad, and then at the one point was with your stepfather,
who was the biggest loser in the whole world.
Your stepfather you didn't like at all.
No, he was a peeping Tom. He used to peep on my sisters and stuff like that. It was.
Did you ever fight him? Did you ever punch him?
Yeah, we had numerous fights.
You guys did.
My friends had fights with
him.
Yes, he was he was a contradictor. He was the worst guy in the world.
Yeah,
he hung around with just really, just low life, scummy people. It was a disaster. My sister got pregnant at 18.
Okay.
And she was into the bad boy as well. This guy was a Spanish drug dealer in the
came
neighborhood.
from
Yeah, of course. My mom was like, if you have this baby, you're getting kicked out of the house, because she was going to college. She was doing her thing.
Right.
But she's dating some fucking scumbag, and now he had the guy's 9 kids and stuff like that. She finally woke up,
Okay.
And just had another baby, and is going to have another one. So she was like, she had one baby with this guy, and then 18 years later, she has another one and another one. But the guy's the chief of police, and I get out of stuff in Jersey if I go there for free.
But she's gotten herself. But it seems like everybody, minus your brother, has kind of gotten themselves back on track, right?
Yeah, my brother's back on track, but he needs to be sedated.
Right. He's a little had a lot of damage.
Yeah. He saw the worst of it.
Right.
He saw the 70s and early 80s Bronx, which was a war zone.
Right. And that's hard. Look, the Bronx in general is tough, but to do that without a dad, and to do that with a stepfather you don't really get along with or respect.
Yeah, that's where my uncle came in.
Right, and then so your uncle. When you say your uncle, it's not blood uncle.
No, he's not my blood uncle.
But because he's the person kind of closest to you guys,
right,
that you respect.
My mom worked as an answering service machine lady, where you plug in the things Aviator, when you see this plugging in for doctors. It was before beepers came out. Yeah,
sure.
So he ran a construction company, and his line was through them. Him and my mom struck up conversations. Next thing you know, they started having sex. This guy was a model. This guy was
good-looking guy.
He used to come out to Los Angeles, and he was an actor, all kinds of stuff. This guy's the best.
Spanish guy, white guy, black guy? White guy.
Italian guy. Ron DeLuca, who after 20 years, I finally got in touch with the other day.
Oh, really? So he's still alive?
He's and
doing
he's
well.
kicking. He's married to a 30-year-old Ukrainian model, just had a kid, and he's 60.
Okay.
Best.
So, and you guys still get along pretty well.
He holds the record, 80 girls in 80 days. My mom made a bet with him. She goes, I bet you can't sleep. How long could you go? And this guy was a stone cold pimp.
Yeah.
80 girls. Said the best one he ever slept with was a 67-year-old lady.
No, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So so this guy obviously is was he like your Miyagi?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was the town's Miyagi. He taught me how to work. He owned a construction company in New York. That's how he bought the 3.
He taught you how to work. He taught you the kind of the rules, the morals of how to work, the kind of the guidelines, or more just in general, just physically how to work.
He says you can be a lot smarter than everybody else. You have the talent to do whatever you want.
Right.
He's like my guidance counselor.
Well, why was it about this guy? What was it about him that made you say,
because
I listen to this person?
Because I liked what he had. He had flashy cars, flashy clothes, always around with girls.
Yeah.
The one time I found this was crazy.
And you're 13 at this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one time, which was nuts. I had just moved to Jersey, and I was aforementioned. I don't know if we mentioned it. I was selling stink bombs and sports memorabilia from stores and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm at my house one day, and my sister's looking for a Beverly Hills 90210 VH tape, right? VHS tape. She's sitting there with my buddy Matt. They were kind of sort of dating or whatever. They put on this tape all I hear is I'm playing RBI baseball in my room. All I hear is this like blood-curdling scream. And my buddy Matt goes, Tom, you need to get out here right now. And I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? I go out in there. He puts on the TV. It's a tape of my uncle having sex with the pizza lady. Okay? And I'm like, what? I go, first of all, what is going on here? Second, why is it even in the house? He don't live here.
Right.
So why is it here? I was like, my mom watching this at night? What is going on? So I'm like, I go, give me that. So I take it out of the house. We go to my buddy's house. I rewind the whole thing. We start watching it. It's hidden camera with girls all from the neighborhood.
So like Billy Baldwin in what was it, Sliver? What was that movie called?
There was like illicit drug use.
Not
this
Sliver,
is the
Silver. What was the thing with Sharon Stone?
Sliver?
Right? What's that movie? Remember that movie, Riley? Sharon Stone, Billy Baldwin.
Sliver.
Sliver, right?
Yeah, Sliver. Yeah. So I'm watching this and I'm like, oh man, this is unbelievable. Right? Me and this guy Matt are watching it, and this pizza lady, the deli lady. I'm like, oh, my mom doesn't pop up here. That would have been weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
So next thing you know, because I'm like, why is it at my house? So what I did was, I'm like, you know what? Word started getting around
about the Sliver stuff.
Yeah. So I held a party at this guy's house.
At your uncle's house?
No,
at your buddy's house.
At my buddy's house.
Okay.
And I invited all my friends and like,
to watch the tape?
girls, and everybody to watch the tape. So next time my uncle would play basketball with us, next time he came down, like where we played basketball, everybody was giving him high fives.
And you didn't know what was going on.
Had no idea what was going on.
Right.
He's like, why is everybody like so receptive to me? I'm like, I don't know, man, because you're like great anyway. You know, no one.
You didn't tell him?
No.
Why?
So
you didn't want to tell him that you found his tape.
So like a week later, he's like, my mom's like, hey, did you see like a VHS tape in there? And I'm like, I didn't see anything.
Right.
Then the heat was on.
Right.
So my idiot friend that I left, because I left it at his house because I didn't want to have it in my possession, left it in his mom's VCR.
Oh, she played it.
She played it.
Right.
I walk into this guy's house. Within 1 second, his dad is throwing the VHS tape at me. I matrix out of the way. It busts on the street.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I scrambled to like put it back together. Debated for a couple of days what to do with it. And finally, I felt the heat was too much. And I buried it in my backyard.
And did they ever find out?
It might be still there.
Really?
Yeah, dead serious. So he's like, you sure you never saw the tape? I'm like, I've never seen the tape.
Oh wait, so your uncle asked you if you ever seen this tape?
Yeah, if he listens to this, he might be like, well, that's where it went.
So obviously, that story alone made you say, no, I got to listen to everything this guy says.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Well, what was it about this guy though? I mean, the obvious reasons that we just heard here, but what do you think it was about your mom though? Because he stuck around. Not only did he stick around with your mom, he wasn't just doing pizza deliveries with your mom.
No, he bought us a house.
He bought your house and got you out of the Bronx, got you out of the one-bedroom house,
correct,
and get you into a house in Lawrence Harbor, right?
Yep.
So why do you think that was? What happened there?
I think he really loved my mom and grown to love us, and saw the way that we were, I think he wanted a family. He was too young. He was like 30 or something like that, and even younger, like 27 or something like that.
And your mom was how old at the time?
40-something.
She was a cougar.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So that guy, Angel, the stepdad guy.
Okay.
He's
just no one. He might as well just be living
No,
there in the county.
we kicked him out.
Okay.
Yeah. He got pulled over. He was sharing a car with some guy he worked with at Home Depot.
Okay.
And the guy Angel like hid the car from him for a couple of days. Right. The guy hid the Angel parked the car in the Home Depot in the back lot, thinking this guy wouldn't see it. The guy came with a bat, slashed all 4 tires, everything, broke the windows. The whole car was destroyed.
Right. Where's he today?
Angel?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Right. No clue.
No clue.
But and your uncle's name was what?
Ron.
And Ron. And how did you find Ron recently? Facebook?
No, I was in the Bronx for Christmas vacation, and I started looking through like things because he owned like clubs in like Asbury Park. And
when
all
did you
these
lose
things.
touch with him in the first place?
My mom stopped paying rent.
Oh, okay.
And my buddy called me up, and they had fights. Unbeknownst to me,
Your mom and Ron had.
Yeah, didn't pay rent for a long time. His business was going down the tubes.
His business was?
Yeah, it was. He had to foreclose on like one of the houses, and like he had like a villa in France and all kinds of stuff that he went from making like $500,000 a year to like making $50,000 a year.
Right.
But he spent big and did big things and lived like a rock star.
Right.
So he had all fashion clothes, things like that.
Right.
That being said, my buddy calls me up at my grandmother's house. He's like, or at my aunt's house. He's like, hey, man, what's going on at your house? I'm like, I don't know. I'm in the Bronx right now. He's like, yeah, I know, but like your uncle is like cursing and going crazy and throwing clothes out everybody's window.
How old were you at this point?
Probably 18, around that area. Okay. You know, and I'm like, hey, Mom, Ron's throwing all the clothes out the window. She's like, oh yeah, I figured that was gonna go down, and that was it.
That was it.
That was it.
That's all
it wasn't like
that was the last time you talked to him.
That was the last time I talked to him, and then
until recently.
I saw him at my mom's funeral.
Okay.
For like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Came in.
But then you saw him recently.
I only talked to him the last 2 times. After 20 years it was about a month and a half ago.
How long did you talk to him for? On the phone?
Yeah. But anyway, to get back to how I got back in touch with him was me and my sister went to this house that his cousin used to live at. And I remember it because we looked him up and he was on like the Bronx directory. So I wrote a note, hey Ron, it's Tom, would love to talk to you, do. Threw it in like the mailbox. But there was like piles of mail and all kinds of things. I'm like, it's worth a shot. A week later, I get a call.
Yeah.
And it was from him. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. He thought I hated him for like doing that stuff and all these other things. I'm like, no. I go, I wouldn't be where I'm at today in Los Angeles, you know, fortunate enough to sell things and have good people around me and live a great lifestyle if it wasn't for him. Because if I was in, oh, absolutely.
And how did you feel when you told him that?
Oh, he's borderline crying.
Yeah.
You know, but he still lives his life and he still does his thing. He's a hustler and he's always taught me to hustle, and I've been doing that ever since.
Well, all right. So you mentioned that you told him that you go out to L.A. You weren't always planning on coming out to L.A. though.
No, not at all.
How'd that happen?
My buddy Mike. You know, I was driving trucks and, you know, living a decent life, you know, making good money.
And you were in your mid-20s at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, you go to like a Fridays with your buddies and, you know, they're sitting there talking about, you know, beer, lower back pain and, you know, putting together
a second baby with
kitchen tables and, you know, worrying about, you know, how having sex with their high school sweetheart is watching like paint dry. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wanted more than that.
Right.
So, you know, you're sitting there telling great stories on Fridays and they fall on deaf ears.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I gotta do something. I can't. These guys are getting old real quick.
Right, and I know Mike as well too, and he wanted to get you out here for a while. So and so you guys were going to work on a script together, and that's kind of, is that, and so what did he say? Let's work on this thing together and get you out here.
Right. I had no idea how to write, but I knew I could do stuff. So we would talk every day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm working at this job. I go, give me 6 months, and I'm going to hop on a plane. Never been on one before my whole entire life. And I'll see you in 6 months.
You've never been on a plane before, ever?
Never.
Now, why?
I've never really been out of New York.
Scared, just because of the upbringing that you had? Just,
I never knew anybody.
Right.
Like I didn't know anybody out of town. I knew people. That's how. Where I come from, people. You know, most of the people I knew from the Bronx are still in the Bronx, and most of the people I knew from Jersey are still in Jersey.
Right.
They don't go anywhere.
Right.
They don't know anything.
Right.
What they are is, and it's middle class people.
It's comfortable.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Right.
They don't want to be away from their family.
Right.
I was like, look, your family's going to be right there when you get back.
Yeah, but it's not easy for everybody to do.
No, of course. Some people rely off it. I've had people move out here, you know, Teddy Trainwreck and all these other guys, they move out here. They can't do their own laundry. They can't clean their own house. They can't do anything. Right. You know, they need their family. And then when they go back, it's the same old shit. When I go back to Jersey, I have fun for like a day or two, then I'm bored out of my skull.
Right. You want to come back.
Right.
Okay, so then you get out here, you start working on the script. You guys get the script, you make the movie.
Yes, correct.
And that took like how many years did that take?
That was a couple of years. I mean, we shot it for like $3,000.
I met you right when you moved out here.
Yes, correct.
I met you in 2002.
Right, correct.
And so you came out in 2002, and you shot it in like 2005.
Yeah, 5 or 6 or something like that.
It took about 3 or 4 years from the initial. So what did you do when you first got out here? How did you live? Where did you live? How did you make your?
I saved up a bunch of money.
Okay. To get out here in the first place.
Yeah, I was doing like tax returns. I did yours one year, remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Still hoping the government doesn't track me down.
No, it's been a 10-year, the statute of limitations, whatever it is. So I did that a lot, and I went on, I was working for a water company, and then I went on unemployment. So the day I got fired, because I wanted to, because I...
you got fired on purpose?
Yeah.
Right, so you could get a little unemployment to get out here more.
Right, so the day I was on unemployment,
What'd
the
you
day
do
went
to
through,
get fired?
laid groundwork to be disgruntled.
What do you mean?
Basically, I wasn't doing my routes and things like that. And they're like, what's wrong with you? And I was like,
okay.
I sort of started playing like I'm overworked and aloof.
Oh, okay.
But I've had Route Salesman of the Year awards, and I could show you them.
Right.
And they wanted to keep me on there. But
it was hard to get fired.
yeah, it was really hard to get fired. And I was like, man, I got to strategically do this. I just can't walk away. I mean,
Shit on the floor or something.
well, no, that's like, then they're not going to give you unemployment. Because Jersey's very interesting with that. So
You can't shit on the floor,
you could.
but
Well,
they say-
they'll take you to, they'll put you in
you to
loony
court.
bin for a little bit.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, especially if, take it to court. So, you know what? It was interesting. We were on commission. So the job was, I could finish my job in 5 hours.
right.
So I heard they were moving the salary, which ruins my initiative to work. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened was I used that as the backbone. I'm like, you're making me, I was making like 60 grand, something like that. I was like, and only working 5 hours a day. I go, so now this guy who's working 12 hours is going to get the same amount of money and I'm doing it in 5. And we're going to switch that around. Now I got to, what do I got to do for those 7 hours to make that money back?
Right.
I was like, you guys are screwing me. I'm out of here. They're like, are you quitting? I'm like, goddamn right I'm quitting.
So you did quit.
We came to an agreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they basically.
I was like, still, can I collect unemployment? They're like, we won't contest it. I'm like, perfect.
Good. All right. So you save up the money and you get out and you're out and so now you are in LA. You got some money. Where'd you stay?
At my buddy Mike's house for a month.
For a month, and then you got
Yeah.
your own place.
Then I got my own
Same
place.
place that you're living at today.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes.
And you at the time.
Well, off and on because I mean, I've been on there and out of there and in there and out of there with a lot of other stuff that was going on in my life. But anyway,
What other stuff?
well, like different women and
Right.
I
And
was
you
moving.
had someone that you were with for a bit though,
Oh yeah.
and then that just didn't. So
That didn't materialize.
Now I have to ask these questions because I never. You always you can say yes, you can say no, you can say move on if you want.
Right.
Were you ever married?
No.
Never.
I was
married.
not. No.
You were never married.
Nope.
Okay. Now how long did you live with your ex?
Like 8 years.
8 years. So
Yeah.
common law kind of.
Common law. Yeah.
Okay, but that's where the misconception could come.
Yeah, we moved down here, and the relationship was over 3 years into it, but we carried it on for another 4.
All right. Well, where's she now?
I think she's back in New York.
I haven't talked to her at all.
No,
Okay.
not one bit.
Right. And so then
Negative influence. I cut a lot of negative influence
okay.
out of my life.
And you almost felt like because I've known you for the duration of that, and you because you were because now it's funny. People see you now. You're in shape.
Sure.
You like to walk around with your shirt off on the Schmo show a lot and other.
I do it in the mall.
But you didn't do that in 2003.
No, I was a little out of shape.
You were-
Not out of shape. I didn't know what it took to be a better person in life.
Right.
I was settled in to a spot, had a hot chick
Long
in
hair.
Jersey, long hair. Yeah, I looked like a lunatic.
Right.
But
you
like a
still look like a lunatic. You're just a little bit more. Yeah, you're a little more.
Yeah. I didn't know what.
Back then, you looked like a man.
Well, I didn't have braces either. I mean, I had to get braces. I got braces later on in life.
remember when you got
my
braces.
teeth were
Yeah,
destroyed. I
that's
looked
right.
like sloth.
Okay, that's right. So then.
Yeah, anybody who has bad teeth at over 30 and you think their life is over and like it's too late to get them,
braces.
get them
Yeah,
immediately. They'll change lives.
And so you decided
I wouldn't be nothing without my
Well,
pearly whites.
You started working out in the park, right? That's how you started.
Yeah.
That's how you started getting in shape and doing
Yeah,
those things?
outside of my building, outside of the window, I could see a park. And I would see these guys working out all the time. And I'm like, man, I could probably maybe do something like that. But I was embarrassed to go. Not that I was.
Because you're out of shape.
Yeah, but I was athletic, but I was doughy.
Right.
So I would go.
What did I say to you at the party?
Put your shirt on. It was bad. It was terrible. It was terrible. So I mean, I was fat. I was just out of shape.
Right.
So I would go. I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of these guys, but I'd watch what they would do, and then I'd go at night. And sure enough, 1 pull-up became 5 pull-ups.
Right.
Then 5 pull-ups became 20 pull-ups.
Be honest. Did you listen to the Rocky IV soundtrack?
Yeah, all the time.
Right.
And then 20 pull-ups became, 20 pull-ups with 25-pound dumbbells on my
Right.
leg weights on my ankles. And then that's why I became the wide grip pull-up champion of the park.
Well, I don't believe that.
It's true. It's on my Twitter.
All right. That is inspiring, though. I think people should realize that that's the thing with you. You look at this, just the journey that we've talked about here in this 40 minutes so far. It does say a lot about you. It does say that, obviously, like, to your own admission, that you're known to pull a scam from time to time, and I think anybody that hears our show or listens to you wouldn't be surprised by that. But I think it also shows.
I've never hurt anybody.
What? No, I think it shows the intestinal fortitude.
Of course.
I think that it does. Because, like I said, it is admirable. There were a lot of people that could go through what you did, not only not come out of it, but that it could turn them bitter and angry.
Oh, wind up in jail,
and look at the world and think that the world is against them.
Owes them something and everything like that. 100%.
And you could almost say that you can understand where some people that went through what you did would feel that way, but you didn't do that, and you kind of have this thing about. I think that what helps you is your humor. Mm-hmm. Because you and I have been known to crack a few jokes with one another with the same sense of humor.
Sure. Well, that's why I get along, yeah. Yeah,
well, I think that that's kind of why you have become a good fit for the Schmoes show. Mm-hmm. Because the thing is, what people don't realize about myself and Tom is that all the antics and things that you see with Tom and I when we talk on the air were conversations that we had off air for years.
Correct.
With whether or not we were smoking a bowl or having a beer and having conversations about it. The Finstock character came through this way. Our buddy Mike Ponce would call you Bobby Finstock from Teen Wolf because he said, "That's you, man. You're Bobby Finstock.
Yes.
You're Bobby Finstock."
Correct.
So our circle of friends, the
third stringer,
5 to 6 people, 5 to 6 people that we hung out with, just started calling you Bobby Finstock.
Yep.
So one day, my dad had gotten back from Europe, and he got me this letter opener. And you came over and said, "Hey, I gotta show you something. And the mask.
Yeah.
The mask shows up, and I said, "What in the world is that?" And you said, "It's a Hungarian beard mask, right?"
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And I said,
"Sheep."
I said, "What in the fuck?" I said, "Put that thing on immediately." And he put it on. And he held the letter opener, and that picture is hanging on the Schmoes set right now.
Yep.
And that picture was from 2007, I believe.
It might even be earlier.
When did you get?
Oh yeah, it was like 2007.
So that picture, that's from 2007. That is the first time that there was ever a picture taken of the character known as Finstock. Because people see that and just automatically it was just taken on set. Yeah. That was 5 years before the character of Finstock debuted.
Oh, absolutely. I bought it on a whim.
Where'd you get that mask?
I found it in.
And why were you looking for it?
I wasn't looking for it.
Okay.
I was in Brooklyn on vacation, and I went to past this place called Scandinavian Grace.
Okay.
Right. So it looks like some really cool. It was almost like a sharper image, but they had like a lot of really cool stuff in there. And I'm like, what's going on in here, right? So I go in there, and there's like a tub, and the mask was in there. There was like a red one and a yellow one, whatever. I'm like, wow, these are really cool. I was like, with this mask on, I put it on.
Who knew how famous that mask was?
Yeah, I know. I had the mask, right? And I put it on, and I was with this girl. She's like, oh my God, that's amazing. I was like, yeah, I got to get this thing. I was like, it's so.
Who was the girl? Fine. Okay,
yeah, I don't remember. I think it was.
Moving on.
Millie or something. I don't know what her name
was. So Millie and the mask.
Yeah. So, no, I think
it doesn't matter. Just let's
Veronica,
let's move on.
I met her in Spanish Harlem, actually. It's a Spanish girl.
We're still
She's
here.
really cute. Anyway, that being said, I'm like, I was like, I gotta buy this. I was like, I put it up on the desk, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take this one. And she was like, all right, $175. I'm like, what? And I was like, no, sorry, I'm not gonna buy it for that. So the girl was like, I don't know, that mask is fantastic. I go, no, if I pass up on this, I might never see it again. Now they have a lot.
Who knew?
I know. And I tried it on again. I'm sitting in the store for like 25 minutes, debating whether or not to spend $175 on this mask. And I was like, and she's like, I would buy it. She goes, just get it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy this thing. And it was the best $175.
Where was it?
It's a place called Scandinavian Grace.
In Los Angeles?
No, in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn.
In Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
In Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I see a lot of people wearing these masks. They're like, hey, Finstock, this is your mask. I'm like, no, it's maybe looks like my mask.
It's an imitation mask.
Yeah. I was like, this mask is $175 sheep wool. Okay.
Is that why it's so expensive? Because it's sheep wool? Like, why? Or they just ripped you off?
No, it's probably a little both.
Right.
But they said they ship them in from Scandinavia.
Okay.
Which I believed.
Right.
I mean, my mask feels different than anybody else's mask.
Right.
Like even Alicia's mask.
Right.
When she was Alicia stock or whatever it was, Malone stock.
Right.
Hers was not bad though, but not like mine.
Right. Okay. So that mask, so you put it on. We take that picture. and then the infamous show of 2012. Now, let's go back in time here to how this all came to be, because a lot of people that are brand new listeners to the show, and there's still people. I saw someone recently on the Q&A video that we're about to do on Thursday said, I'm a brand new listener, I just started listening. Can you explain me what is Finstock? Like, who is he? Where did he debut? Who is this person? So 2012, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that we were supposed to have on Court McCowan.
Yeah, from Teen Wolf.
Court McCowan from Teen Wolf and Can't Buy Me Love was supposed to be on. Pretty apropos, by the way, that he was in Teen Wolf and
it's my favorite movie.
And with Bobby Finstock. And
right.
So Court couldn't do it for some reason. I don't know why. Now, who wasn't? Tiffany was not there. It was Megan Finley. Ken Knapsack,
who's still scared to this day of me.
I think she's accepted you a little bit more.
Okay.
And Mark Ellis, Ken, myself, and then Megan Finley.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I said to you, I was like, why don't you come onto the show? But I don't want you to say anything yet. I just want you to pace back and forth in the background for the first half an hour.
Yes.
And the fans, when you were doing that on Twitter, were losing their minds.
Yes.
Did you know at that point, did you have any idea what was about to happen from that day forward?
I mean, I didn't really know the fan base. I didn't know I knew you were operating, the podcast. Yeah, you were doing something. I didn't know any kind of YouTube. I mean, I was in a scripted world and things like that. I didn't know what YouTube personalities were from that standpoint.
You didn't know this world at all?
No, not at all. Not one bit.
Right. And the world was, and look, this world was still forming a bit. Though, too. It was in its infancy for sure.
For sure, no question about it. So, and I watched like one show because I remember telling you, I'm like, what am I? She's like, I need you on as a guest, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? And you're like, well, bring the mask and whatever, and we'll just act weird and whatever. And I'm like, all right, I could do that. I mean, I don't even know if I was supposed to even get on the mic that day.
No, you were, because we were going to talk. We talked mob movies.
Oh, mob movies, yeah.
So that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I figured you could talk mob movies, and then you come on in the second half an hour and you had been drinking a little bit.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
And that was nerves.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
I was a little scared for sure, because I didn't know what to expect. Also, I don't want to disappoint anybody.
Right.
I barely knew Ellis.
Right.
Barely knew Knapsack. Right. Didn't even know Makuga.
Still don't really know him. You call him Knapsack.
Yeah, it's true. Right. I didn't know anybody there but you.
Right.
Megan Finley wouldn't know me from a hole in the wall.
No, she hated you after it.
I think she hated me beforehand.
Right, even before you came on. So
right.
And it was funny because Ken, out of everybody, I thought would understand, and he did, but because of the wrestling, there was a very wrestling angle to it.
Sure.
Finstock, the character of Bobby Finstock, was years ahead of the Schmodown. Because what the Schmodown is, the theatrics behind the Schmodown, is what that Bobby Finstock entrance was.
Of course.
And so I thought like Ken alone got what we were going for with the wrestling angle, but him, it's the only time this has ever happened in the history of the show that they demanded a meeting with me afterwards, because you offended almost everyone that night.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
You offended Megan Finley. You offended Alan Rickman.
Fans.
The late Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman fans. You offended pretty much
clearly Ellis, clearly Knapsack.
Everyone. You offended everyone except me.
Yeah.
So afterwards, when I was outside of the Toad Hop Studios, they both summoned me, and they were like, "He can never come on again. That was the worst show we've ever done. The fans hate him, and we've been getting so many tweets now." And I said to them, I stopped and I said, "Are they talking about him?" And they were like, "Well, yeah." And I was like, "I'm telling you, this is going to work."
Yeah.
And then I told you, I remember, because the thing is, though, we had a conversation. Do you remember the conversation we had about your next appearance?
Yeah. Well, the thing was, the stories I was telling that day, they were far-fetched. But most of them were true.
Right.
But nobody would Google. They were just like, this guy's a complete liar.
Right.
Get him off the show.
Right.
And whatever.
They hated you.
Right. So what the plan was...
You were like a Sokatano. I mean, they hated you in your first appearance and then wanted to love you.
Yeah.
How did you get them to love you?
Yeah, it's like hate him, laugh at him, and then, laugh at him, then laugh
Learn
with him.
more about them.
Right, exactly.
Hate the unknown.
Sure, of course, and that's usually the way it goes. So I was coming on there, and I only know how to be, one person, and, Bob Finstock. Well, maybe Tom too, but whatever.
You don't really know
No.
who you are sometimes. Sometimes you are Finstock, even when you're trying not to be.
Yeah.
I tried to get you so many times to not be Finstock on the show, and you just can't help yourself.
It depends what topic it is.
Right.
If it's like a real hardcore topic, then yes, I'll stick to the thing. But if it's like something that I know I could joke around with and get some zingers in, yeah, it's going to be Finstocky.
But even your rant that you did a couple of weeks ago when you went off on the producers of Blade Runner, you were doing so well, and yet you throw in that comment about little people at the end.
Yeah, but that's not. It's like, all right. I come from a place where I know it's not politically correct anymore, and I know a lot of YouTube people have voices, and there's a lot of people on here who just don't understand where I came from,
right.
And we used a lot of words like that on a consistent basis. Now I've grown to not use those words anymore.
You're learning.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Right. So you still catch yourself.
Right.
You're almost like your dad's ex-girlfriend, the Tourette's.
Right.
Girl, right.
I mean, when we would call somebody like the F word.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Not the 4-letter one, the 3-letter one.
Cigarette.
Yeah, the cigarette one.
Right.
It didn't make. We weren't calling him that.
Right.
That was just a word that we were saying.
But then you realize that the meaning and the how people can respond to it in a way, and you stop doing it.
Right. Of course.
Right.
Yeah, I would never say that.
Because you did catch yourself and you did it. But I mean, I think the thing is that you do it does turn into that.
Well, I have a lot of hatred for that guy.
Well, yeah, but so Finstock, though, has been known to do controversial things. He is known to now. What is it? Do you enjoy being Finstock?
Yeah, it's given me another purpose, in life. I was fortunate enough to sell a show or two to places and make some money. That well dried up, and I realized that, my avenue is personality. And I've always used my dialogue and my logic and my, I guess, roundabout ways of doing things with circular logic to get somewhere. And what better format than, and I think you realize it as well, to just get behind a microphone and, riff on topics.
Right.
And I think that's where my calling is. And it's a hell of a lot better for me now.
What do you think about the fact that you listen to the Schmoville podcast and there's kind of like this you talk about mystery. No one knows what you do. Like everyone knows that you have the mask on and then you're Finstock, but you talk about doing music videos with Drake and then you have these expensive $800 sneakers that you're giving to RB3.
Yeah.
There's the Spicy Lucy's of the world, the Spicy Cindy's, and then you have Brittany who comes in, and it's like you booked Sophia Boutella for us, and the question is, who is this masked weirdo really? Like, what do you do? Who are you? Like, what?
Well, I think there's I put myself in predicaments to win. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you surround yourself with people who are winners, sure enough, it bleeds down, and they're like, oh yeah, Finstock's here. I'll just give him a free pair of sneakers too, or hey, yeah, look at that girl. Yeah, why don't you go on that show? Boom, like. It's putting yourself in predicaments.
And it's a confidence, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You got to have a swagger to do it.
You've got to be able to convince, because you're the type of guy that you could convince someone, honestly, that you're a billionaire and they'll believe it at the end of the night.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like if I can go on things where I'm like, man, I really dug myself in the hole in this one.
And you can get yourself out.
Oh, absolutely.
You've always been able to do that.
Absolutely.
Right.
100%.
And
I never had to throw a punch in my life.
I am one of the few people I think that can see through your bullshit.
Sometimes.
I think so. I think that there's two things that I've been able to do.
There's some times when you're like, really? And then I'm like, nah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but most of the times, I can say, what did you really do? And 9 out of 10 times when I say that, it's because I know you're lying.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Well, I was working at the Finstock headquarters the other day.
That definitely didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I was at the coffee bean with that girl.
Right.
No, I met her on...
Who's this, Brittany?
Yeah, Brittany.
Okay.
She's the best.
Yeah, where did you meet Brittany? And if you don't know who we're talking about, Brittany, who appeared on the fall movie preview special when you challenged, but unfortunately the challenge was not met by Scott Mance in the Schmodown.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
It was disappointing, but yeah, would you still like to play Scott Mance?
Yeah, I like Scott Mance. I mean, he is just a barrel of...
information.
Just...
energy.
Like the energy
He's the sun.
Is because it's cosmetic.
Yeah.
Like he's coming from he's in solar systems.
Do you think he's from a different planet?
It's quite possible.
Yeah. Right.
It's quite possible, yeah. That guy is just, I've never seen anybody with energy like that before.
Do you think that
He gave a kidney, he ran a marathon the next day.
The next day. Do you think that you will play Scott Mance in the Schmodown? And can you beat him?
Mance is beatable.
Yeah, and do you think that he'll come out of retirement to play you?
I hope so. I think it'll be good for the fans. It's the wheel. If I get the right questions, I could beat anybody.
Did you ever think that you would have a career in the in the Schmodown, because your first match against Tiffany was a nightmare and you won. I beat you pretty bad in your second match.
Yeah.
And then it's that the team tournament.
That gave me the confidence.
Well, that made your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that gave me confidence.
Then you beat Schnepp somehow, and then we can't get rid of you.
Yeah, well, I think the fans like it. I think there is air of unpredictability when I come on. It's not about just the match itself. It's the theatrics that go on with it.
Right.
And I think if you sit back and watch, everything I say is meticulously planned. Mm-hmm. It looks like it's off the top of my head, but it's not.
Right.
I curb your enthusiasm myself. Basically, it's like I give myself a little bit of a trail, have a drink or two, and then follow through with a trail.
Right. Okay.
For the most part.
Sure.
With no dialogue
So
sometimes.
that trail never leads you to 3D movies.
No, I can't do that.
Why do you hate 3D movies so much? What is it about?
It throws off my equilibrium.
Has it always done that?
Yeah, I've always had. I'm not cool with heights.
No.
I'm not cool with going
Boats?
over bridges.
Boats? How you
No,
boats?
boats. I'm cool.
Okay.
Bridges. If I'm
Jet
driving
bridges?
a car over a bridge, like
Not
the Golden
jet
Gate
bridges.
Bridge, I get a little scared.
Okay.
I always have to stay in the middle lane because I think I'm either going to crash off it or crash into the divider.
Oh, so your head's a little fucked up.
It's an equilibrium thing.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg's got the same thing.
All right. Well, listen. This is. I think that we're gonna have to do another one of these because there's so much for you to talk about. Where can the people find you, and what's next?
Well, I didn't
for
tell you my
Finstock?
grandfather used to run a bowling alley.
Well, you're gonna tell me
and
that.
then some
in the next-
Chinese guy stuck him up for it.
You're gonna tell me in part 2.
Okay.
All right. So, Finstock, where can they find you on Twitter and Instagram?
At Bob Finstock on Twitter. Instagram is at Bob Finstock. I will be hosting the Finstock Initiative very shortly. I am gathering a bunch of sort of whack packers, okay, that are going to make this show.
You should call it the Finstock.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's it. Yeah, the Finstock.
Finstock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the crew.
Yeah.
Well, I got this guy Unauthorized David. I got this guy Rusty Gloveless.
All right. The Fanatics.
Yeah. There's another guy Boston Bill.
Okay.
This girl Alex is coming
Just
on.
keep them out of this studio, please.
Yeah, I know they're banned from the studio. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I'll still need the promotion though.
Yeah,
just
we'll
be like, hey,
promotion
we'll just
on.
be
We'll have
like,
to listen to
hey,
it first.
unsanctioned by schmoes or whatever. You guys ain't gonna like it.
Right, I'm sure.
It's not up your alley. There's gonna be girls on it. There's gonna be a lot of shit going on.
Well, we like girls.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, sometimes.
Guys, that's the show for today. We are
And little Bobby and the Juice too.
okay. Happy to have little Bobby back. We are back, the Harloff Podcast here, and what a great way to come back here with Tom Dagnino. Thank you, Tom, for opening up, letting us know all those stories. Pretty fascinating stuff. I know there's going to be a lot of things here that people didn't know about you, and maybe could try to learn a little bit more about you. So, guys, check that out. At Bob Finstock, Twitter and Instagram. Make sure that if you aren't already subscribed to this feed, you should do it. Tell your friends about this show. Tell other Schmovillians about this show. Share this. If you just listen to this show, go on over to the Schmoville Facebook page and say, hey, did you listen to the new Harloff podcast? Because Finstock was on, and man, it was a good one. All right, that's it for the Harloff Podcast. See you later. Peace out, Mother F's.
Poof. Good stuff.